Council, Tuesday, December the 10th. Please stand for our invocation led by Pastor Neil White, Downtown Church at the Steeple, and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Let us pray. Dear Lord, we thank you for the opportunity to come together and meet on this day. Lord, I pray for the leadership of our city. Lord, I pray that it be said about the people in this room that we're for Mobile. God, that the words and the thoughts and the actions that are mentioned and spoken in this room be glorifying you, Lord. We love you, we praise you, we thank you. In your Son's name, amen.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. If we could, I'm gonna ask we would stand again for a moment of silence. On last week, a very senseless act of terror occurred at Naval Air Station, Pensacola. If my recollection is correct, 3 individuals lost their lives, very young individuals that are not even at the prime of life. And we're going to ask that we would remember their families and their members and their service in the silence. Thank you.
Roll call, President Manzi.
Here.
Vice President Small.
Here.
Councilmember Richardson.
Here.
Councilmember Williams.
Here.
Council Maves.
Here.
Councilmember Rich.
Here.
Councilmember Gregory.
Here.
Statement of rules.
Good morning.
Morning.
We first would ask that you silence or turn off all of your electronic devices upon entering the council meeting. Any person desiring to address the council must sign in indicating the resolution, ordinance, appeal, or public hearing agenda item before entering the meeting. When addressing the council, the speaker must clearly state for the record both your name and your address. Any person desiring to speak to the city council on a non-agenda item must contact the city clerk's office on the Thursday preceding the Tuesday in which you'd like to speak by 2 p.m. The subject matter must be identified and it must be pertinent to City of Mobile business. Any person who hadn't given that proper notice won't be allowed to address the council. Each speaker is allowed 5 minutes to make their presentation. At the end of 4 minutes, a bell will sound. That bell indicates that you have 60 seconds to summarize. Upon hearing the second bell, that indicates that your time has expired. When addressing the council, we ask that all of your commentary be made to myself, who serves as chair. If there are any individual council members who wish to respond, they will have that opportunity. To maintain decorum, there will be no undue applause or public outcry allowed during the course of this meeting. Those are our rules, and we certainly are appreciative of your interest in your municipal government. Madam City Clerk.
Approval of minutes of December 3rd.
So moved.
Second. Been properly moved and second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Communications from the mayor.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good to see everybody this morning. This past weekend was a very exciting weekend with the christening of the USS Mobile. For those that don't know it or didn't follow the story, there have been 5 ships. This is the 5th one that's been christened as the USS Mobile, or to carry our name. But it's only one to be built in the city of Mobile. And this was LCS ship 26, number 26 for the United States Navy. Secretary of the Navy Ray Mabus made the choice or the decision. He was asked, we wrote letters asking him to please consider naming this ship or a ship after Mobile since they were built here, and which he did, and we were very fortunate that Rebecca Byrne, Congressman Byrne's wife, was chosen as the sponsor. And the saying goes in the Navy, when they christen ships, is the spirit of the sponsor is transferred to the spirit of that ship for as long as it shall sail. And there could not be a more perfect person to have been the sponsor of the USS Mobile than Rebecca Byrne. I mean, she did an outstanding job. And for those who've never been to a christening, if you ever have the opportunity to do it, I highly recommend it because it'll just make you be proud, one, to be a Mobilian, but to be an American. The pomp and circumstance with the Navy band there and all, and seeing how they do it, it's really heartwarming. And so anyway, it was a great event. In the first quarter, end of the first quarter of the beginning of the second quarter of 2021, it will sail out of here commissioning. And I hope on that day when it sails out of here, we'll line the sides of the river and have boats in the river and give it a send-off like no other ship that's been christened from the Austell family. I'll tell you this too, that one of the things that came out, which is truly amazing to me, that Austell has christened 20 ships in the last years. And the remarks that we heard from the Admiral and the others talking about the work ethic, the on time, on budget performance of Austell was really gratifying because we recognize that there's a huge contract coming up with another ship, the frigate, and hopefully the way we have been able to perform with the other two ships that we're building, that we will be looked upon very favorably to build the frigate, which if we are, that could be another 2,000 jobs. So for Austell. Anyway, great weekend for the city of Mobile and Austell. Another note, for the Souls of Mobile, there's a new mural on the side of North Jackson Street, on the side of Haley's Bar, on a big old concrete wall that used to be kind of an ugly bar. And now Ginger Woshin, who is a city employee, teaches art out at Lavretta Park, has done a mural. And I would recommend that you go by and look at the mural, and if you look real hard, you'll find some faces of people that you know. I was honored that they put my picture on there, and I think that she did an outstanding job of that. So to Ginger, I'm very grateful of that, but it also gives some life to trying to help us as we continue the process of making a great downtown. And there were a lot of people that were involved in getting this done, so my thanks to everybody that played a part in that. Also, tomorrow morning we will have media events, one on Florida Street at 9:30 and one on McGregor Avenue at 10:15. Both of these are major projects which we have been working on for really a number of years, but the people along Florida Street are very happy that it's complete. I think all the signs of construction have been removed. There's still some barrels on McGregor Avenue, but it is open to business, and it's great to complete those projects. I think we're excited when we kick them off, but there are a lot of people that are really excited when you can bring them to closure. So look forward to doing that tomorrow, because this time of year when there's a lot of people out shopping, the last thing they want to do is have detours. And we're cognizant of that, but you know, detours sometimes are a measure of our progress. Anyway, good stuff going on in the city of Mobile. Glad to see everybody here. Thank you.
Keisha Davis.
Good morning.
Morning.
I'm Keisha Davis, 5306 Fletching Court, Theodore, Alabama, 36582. I am here as a volunteer for Events Mobile Incorporated, which hosts the annual Moon Pie over Mobile New Year's Eve event. We're just about 21 days away from ringing in the new year in downtown Mobile. As you may recall, several months ago, we announced the headliner act, Collective Soul. Today, I am pleased to announce that Mobile's favorite cover band, I Sing, will be the opening act. I Sing will bring its high-energy show band with full rhythm sections, singers, and horns. They'll be getting the crowd moving with pop tunes, R&B, and the sounds of Motown. I Sing will take the stage at 9:30 after the cutting of the world's largest moon pie at 8:30 and the second parade at 9 o'clock. We want to let you know that we've added an event this year, the Roaring Twenties Costume Contest. So get dressed up, come down to the Riverview Hotel for the moon pie cutting as well as for judging. Also this year, there will be transportation to and from downtown Mobile. In partnership with the City of Mobile, Wave buses will be running from Bel Air Mall to downtown beginning at 8 p.m. The last bus will leave from downtown at 1:30 in the morning. There will be a $2.50 fee per person for a round-trip ticket. Details, of course, can be found at our website, mobilenewyear.com, and on our Facebook page. Thank you.
Adoption agenda.
Second.
Probably moved and seconded. Discussion. If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Appeals, we have requests for a waiver of the noise ordinance on January 3rd, 2020, from 6 p.m. until 9 p.m. on Industrial Parkway North.
So moved. Second.
Probably moved and seconded. Any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Public hearings. Today is the public hearing to declare the structures at 408 St. Charles Avenue, 702 Plum Street, 458 Plum Street, 652 Pillen Street, 1162 Newman Lane, and 405 Calhoun Street public nuisances and ordering them demolished.
Is there anyone here that would like to speak regarding any of the addresses mentioned by our city clerk for these public hearings? No? If not, the public hearings are closed.
Presentation of petitions and other communications to the council. Shamika Brown.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Shamika Brown. I am a partnership specialist with the U.S. Census Bureau. I spoke with you all early on this year. Thank you all for allowing myself and my colleague Melanie House to come back. We are moving swiftly with the census, and we are moving from our education phase at the end of December into our awareness phase. And with that, we have some asks of you all. We continue to engage the community, let them know how important the census is and the things that we are doing in the community. And so we are going to begin asking our leadership for some things as it relates to the census. And so my colleague Melanie will expound on that.
Good morning. Thank you all for having us. My name is Melanie House. My address is 817 Laurie Court, Mobile, Alabama, 36695. As you said, we're fastly approaching the census. Census says April 1st, 2020, and Mardi Gras is coming up. And we were asking you all, as the leadership of Mobile, for $8,000 to allow us to have presence within the Mardi Gras, at least three of them. We also have pop shops. What that is that we will have locations throughout the Mardi Gras route to engage with the community, to answer any questions that they have, and also to create the awareness. The dates that we are looking at is that Saturday, Monday, and also that Tuesday. I have a listing of some of your hard to count areas and also your low response score areas that are from 30% to the 48.4, and that's census number 12, which is the downtown area to Telegraph Road. Census tract number 4.01, which is your Dr. Martin Luther King area. Census tract 4.02, which is your Oak Street area, same as the Dr. Martin Luther King. Census tract 39.02, which is Mobile Street in your Crichton area, 32.04, that's your Festival Center area, and also 36.02, which is your Hillsdale Heights areas. Those are some of your hard-to-count areas that we need to target to engage them in the census and also to educate them on the importance of the census and how the census numbers are used. That's all.
We also have some maps if you need to see exactly the areas that we're targeting. We have those maps and they're available for you. So that's all, that's our ask for today. So thank you very much. Are there questions that you all have for us?
Any questions?
Mr. President,
Ms. Gregory?
do we have all of your contact information? Because I can put you in touch with the Hillsdale folks to help you out. And so that was the only one in my district that you have a hard time counting, just the Hillsdale?
We have more than that. Those are the ones that are 30 to 48.4%. So those are the areas, those are the highest.
The highest, that are the hardest
Yes,
to
correct.
count.
The highest of the hardest.
Highest in this framework is not good. Okay. All right. I'll put you guys in touch with the folks in Hillsdale, but I just want to make sure I have your contact information.
Yes, ma'am. And I know Councilwoman Manzi has my information, as well as Deidre. She has my information as well. Okay, thank you.
Well, let me ask you, the request that you all are making, have you all sent that over to the administration
No, sir, we have not.
for those resources?
No, sir, we have not.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Okay, great, that's great. I would certainly advise you to do that. And I guess my second question would be, what is y'all's overall plan? We know that there are some areas, many of them were in the district that I represent, so I'm on board to do whatever I can do, however I can help. What is the plan, I guess even on a national level, to address the lack of response? How would you all propose to attack that? And then how can we be helpful in assisting you do that?
Okay, well, Shamika's meeting with the Complete Count Committee, and that's the committee that you all have appointed to represent the city of Mobile. That committee will consist of gatekeepers. Those gatekeepers will be trained on how to get out and engage in the community. So that's our first lead. Then we're trying to do interaction with things that are going on in the community so that they can see our presence and we can be there to answer any questions and let them know that the information that they are giving on this survey is confidential. So we're going to any measures that we can to spread the word and create the awareness of the importance of the census.
I'd like to suggest that you all, particularly in the areas that you referenced with the early in your presentation, that there be a heavy presence in those churches, in those communities.
Yes, sir. We're speaking with them, and we've also been attending different conventions, the AME convention and the CME convention. We speaking with the Baptist districts. We've been speaking with them as well. So we do realize that faith-based is a matter of importance within our communities.
That's
so
great.
We're trying to get the word out through them as well.
That's wonderful. Again, however I can be helpful, I think 3 or 4 of the neighborhoods you referenced on District 2, and we want every person to count.
Yes, sir. We do.
Because every person does count, so we appreciate all y'all's efforts. In the last census, approximately from you all's analysis, what would you all say was the number of citizens that were not counted in the last census?
From the 2000 census, we had a 72% rate, and then we dropped a percent.
72% rate, what does that mean?
Meaning that 72% of the residents accounted for in the city of Mobile. But in 2010, it decreased by 1%. So that means only 1%. So 29% of the residents were being accounted for.
How would you know that?
We do American community surveys throughout the year, and those are some of the numbers that we go through. And also your 911 listings. It's a lot of different listings that's put together to formulate it.
But the Census Bureau would report to us that 29% of the citizens who actually live in the city of Mobile did not turn in their census
That is
information.
correct. That is correct.
So we definitely have room for improvement.
And so that's 29% that are receiving resources from the city of Mobile that you all are not receiving income for.
Correct. Every
Well, if
person
the
that,
Census Bureau knows that they're there, if you know that they're there, and this may be a question that you all, I know you're all about counting, but if they realize that they're there, why don't you give you credit for it? If they tell you that they're there.
those are the persons that did not respond to their census questionnaire. And so that goes into our 2020 census, where they're giving individuals an opportunity to respond in multiple ways. So those that did not respond in the traditional paper response in 2010, they now have an opportunity to respond via internet, via phone, and traditional paper response. So by having those different measures, we're hoping to increase the rate of response. That we're really pushing self-response for 2020, hoping that everyone will respond, and it will be a greater response because they have the accessibility of the internet. Those that do have the accessibility of the internet will be able to respond, thereby increasing those response rates.
And for the ones that do not do it by phone or by internet, we will still do that dreaded knock on the door with our response follow-up. We will still send enumerators out to count them.
And approximately how many of those individuals will be deployed throughout the city?
We don't have a number exactly, but the Census Bureau is looking to hire over 500,000 people throughout the country for 2020 enumeration.
And we are hiring right now.
Correct.
Can you give us any of that information if someone wanted to potentially be employed by the census? Can you share that information with us and also give it to us so that we can put it in our newsletters?
Absolutely. It's 2020census.gov/jobs is the website. Persons have to go on the website to apply, set up a profile, and fill out the information from there. If they go to the census website, there's a banner that they can click on. It says apply now, and they go from there to set up that profile and apply. And we can definitely provide all of that information to you electronically, and you can blast it out on your social media, on your website, in newsletters, in various measures.
We'll be happy to do it. Any
Mr.
questions?
Yes. Mr. President, when Ms. Rich is done.
Ms. Rich and then Mr.
Thank you.
Williams.
So the research on why people didn't respond, there weren't ways to do it in the past, and you've opened up more pathways, correct? Do I have that correct?
Yes, ma'am, as well as the natural distrust of government. Some
Right.
people naturally don't trust the government, so they are unwilling to or hesitant to give that information out.
Right.
So by opening up those other avenues, we're hoping to increase that response rate.
And do you know if your organization has been in and out of our rec centers where a lot of people gather, either the senior centers or youth centers or whatnot?
Yes, ma'am. Both of us are currently, we're partnerships. So what we do go out and engage the community in various agencies and organizations. So I've been to several of the senior centers and community centers. And so I try to make sure that I go in, set up presentations, do exhibit tables to hand out that information to
Right.
let people know. That's part of the awareness that we're doing.
Right, to get them comfortable.
Yes, ma'am.
I know that we got the directive about getting individuals that would come to your meeting. I guess it's is it Monday that you're having a meeting on site here?
Actually, it's today.
Today,
Yes, ma'am. I'm
okay.
setting up the
Unfortunately,
complete
I
today.
put it out in the bulletin for people to contact me. It's a very busy time.
Yes.
But I would recommend the Senior Center West as a really good, cohesive way to get to a lot of people. These are people 55 and older that support that center, but then again, they have children and friends throughout the community too. So that's a really good outlet for SIX.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Sure.
Mr. Williams?
Along your lines, Mr. President, I find it interesting that I send W-2s to the W-3 reports to the federal government, and then the Department of Census for businesses call me back and ask to send them the W-2s. And it seems like to me that maybe in the next census, I know it's late for this one, but along the same lines as the President was talking about, is that the IRS, library systems, state employment agencies, and voter registrars, and you guys could
Get together.
compare used to, we didn't have all these electronic records. Now we do. We have the vast ability to reconcile all names, addresses, and numbers to determine how many people are there. Because if you really, as Mr. Manzi said, know they're absolutely there, that they are filing their taxes from there, they're voting from that address, they have a library card from that address, and 3 people with the same name live in that house and they didn't respond to you, they're still there. And we just got to get more sophisticated in this system. And I know that y'all will take that to the folks that will affect the next census. Thank you.
Mr. Davis?
Yeah, just a quick question. With all these additional venues to count, to get to be counted, it seems like to me there's an opportunity for, not that anyone would intentionally do this, but inadvertently be counted twice. And what protocols does the Census Bureau have in place to kind of weed this out and make sure that we don't have any double counting?
Let me make sure that I understand you correctly. You want to know how we make sure that they're not identified twice, correct?
Correct.
When the census mail out the invitation, they will go out in March, the beginning of March of 2020, inviting everyone to respond to the census. On that invitation, it has the geocode. So that household has a code to that household. So once we count the people in that household, then we're not counting individuals, we're counting people in the households. Then we're counting homeless shelters. You know, everyone has the geocode. So we're using that geocode to identify the household, and the person, the head of the household, lists each one of the people that are within the household.
Thank you.
Does that
President.
answer?
Mr. Vice President?
Thank you. My question is to you all, have you all have plans or is working with sororities and fraternities of Caucasian and African American? Because they do a lot of volunteer work, and this would be a great volunteer action, you know, in the spring of the year for the fraternities and sororities to go out into the communities, especially communities that y'all say y'all having a hard and desperate time with.
Yes, we are. That's one of the special initiatives that I am working with. And so we are in the process of gathering all information, contact information of sororities, fraternities on both sides, and all the schools to get out somewhere and do some partnerships with those individuals and those groups.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Sure.
One last question. So Census Day is April
First.
1st.
Yes.
How long will it take for all the numbers to be ready to disseminate back to the cities? Do you have an approximate date on that?
We turn our information to the president December 31st, 2020. That is our deadline. And then once everything is done, those numbers will be released in, I believe it's April of 2021.
April 20, okay. Thank you.
Yes, sure, absolutely.
Appreciate your
Thank
time,
you
and
so much.
however we can be of assistance, please reach out to us.
Okay, thank you.
And I'll be reaching out to you all.
Thank you. Oh, thank you.
Mary Elizabeth Harper with Gulf Quest.
All right.
Good morning.
Good morning.
You all have a half-sheet flyer that lists the main reason I'm here, which is to remind everybody that John Sledge is going to be...
Ms. Harper.
I'm sorry. I am Mary Elizabeth Harper. I'm the Gulf Director. I reside at 252 Park Terrace in Mobile.
All right. Okay.
Yes. See, I told you.
That's right. I was listening for Danville Fairhope. I'm glad you're Mobile. All right.
All right, yes. At any rate, I'm here to remind everybody that John Sledge is going to be at Gulf Quest this Sunday, December 15th, from 3 to 5, and that the Treasures gift shop is going to be open during that time. It's a wonderful place to buy Christmas presents. We're also the Treasures gift shop is open all of the days that the museum itself is open. And the other thing that I want to remind people of is that we still have some availability to rent rooms in the museum for daytime events and for evening events. If you have a last-minute idea for a holiday party, definitely think about us. That was what I wanted to tell you all this morning.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate all your hard work.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
David Clark.
Good morning, Mr. President,
Good morning.
City Council. David Clark, Visit Mobile 1 South Water Street, and I also reside in your district, Mr. President.
All right.
So, was here today to give you a hard copy of Visit Mobile's business plan. We're constantly trying to improve our results in both the leisure and the convention segments for our great city, and just some highlights of the plan. I know it's 43 pages. Wanted to highlight a few things on page 3, Visit Mobile's and our wins for the city and tourism, then the new dashboard development for accountability and transparency with their stakeholders, and you receive that monthly. It's a great electronic tool to let you know how we're doing in every metric that you charge us with. Our social engagement results, a record year of lead production, convention lead production in the organization's history. Convention room nights, the second best year ever in the convention box history, behind last year. The Carnival agreement extended for 3 years. Our organization supports that endeavor in a lot of ways and collaborates with you all. The media and influencers results, the lodging tax collections were slightly up, and they need to be better. And the visitor spends increased $87 million year over year, according to the state's statistics. So those are some of the things. The vibrant waterfront, obviously, with the Wild Native Tours being here full-time, and Perdido Queen now being here full-time is a really cool thing for our city. The team is well deployed with efforts, and on page 8, if you will look at our goals for next year, our tourism improvement district, we hope to get to the goal line soon, maybe Thursday night. We're about 65% of the way there for petition collection, and our leisure and convention marketing, our convention room night and stretch goal obtainment, STAR report for our lodging stakeholders, visitor and spend increase, and the comprehensive visitor behavior reporting for the marketing metrics continues to be a goal, and certainly a clear audit and strong community and stakeholder relationships to get things done from a tourism standpoint. So again, a great year, again, a robust document. There's a lot to do in tourism in Mobile, and we're thankful for that. Proud of our team. We just want to give thanks to our lodging partners, the Sports Authority, our restaurants, our attractions, our entire hospitality community, and our board of directors, volunteers in the University of South Alabama. Y'all, we could not do it without every one of those people that we mentioned. And I wanted to go back with thanking the City Council and the Mayor's administration. Y'all do so much for the Convention and Leisure Box, whether it's meet and greets, it's dinners, it's traveling with us like Councilman Richards to the Elks in New Orleans with 3,000 people presenting, and we just landed that contract, acknowledgement of 6,100 room nights for 2021, so thank you for that. For the Black Caucus, I know Councilman Mancy and Small and Richardson went to that. To, again, the dinners, every one of you participate in the meet and greets, and to our Mayor's administration for going down to Miami with us to meet with Carnival executives earlier this year made a huge difference in the contract. So thank you for that. And we wanted to recognize you for a tourism collaboration award this year, and Emily's going to bring down a plaque just a memento to say thank you for your spirit to serve and your tremendous support. So thank you so much. Lisa, you want to give that?
Mr. Richardson?
Yes, sir. David, we went to Savannah,
Yes, sir.
and just an outstanding trip up there, but we did. Savannah is smaller than the city of Mobile. And we discovered that last year they had 14 million visitors. And we had, a little more than 3 million.
Correct.
And so did you gather any information while we were in Savannah that I know we're a long ways from 14 million, but was there anything learned up there that may be able to boost our numbers higher than where we are?
Sure. If you'll turn to page 5 and 6, there's highlights there that I think what's going to boost our tourism. I think from multicultural tourism thing perspective, that segment's the largest growing segment in the world. I think the discovery of the Clotilda is a really big deal to boost visitorship. I think once the assets are developed fully, I think that's another 1 million visitors a year just in itself about that story. I think the Tourism Improvement District, which we hope to get to the goal line tomorrow night, will give us about $2 million more to market the visibility of our city. And I think when you look at the back, how we compare ourselves to other cities in terms of metrics and dollars and those kind of things, that's going to boost our message and our visibility to help with that visitorship and all of these stories that are in this element of the business plan.
Okay. And as we look at venues that we have not really highlighted in the past, what we found out in Savannah was that they didn't ignore any of that history, all of it. In Mobile, we have done as well as we could to highlight what we have. For instance, in the city of Mobile, we have the oldest Baptist church in the state of Alabama, having organized in 1806, the Stone Street Baptist Church. There's not one marker on the highways, not one indicator that you ought to get off and come in and see that. If David Crockett had spent one night over there at Stone Street Baptist Church, there would have been a monument so high you had to almost bend over to look over. I'm saying it is up to us to recapture all of our history. And there's no one segment of our history more important than any other segment. It's the history of the past. It's our story of the past. So I hope we can do something. The Stone Street Baptist Church should maybe on our 60 when it comes into downtown Mobile, have a cadence that turn and go visit the historic Stone Street Baptist Church. Sure. I think my point is we got gold nuggets. We're not mining the gold. We can do better.
We can always improve, and I think we're collaborating in a lot of different ways. So, any other questions? Yes.
Thank you. If you look at page 42, I find that to be one of the more interesting dynamics.
Good.
You know, with your budget, and then the number of convention room nights and total number of rooms. You have the lowest budget out of the group that's allocated towards your agency. Yet you have, pretty good standard when it comes to the number of room nights based on the number of possible hotel rooms. That's
the supply of hotel rooms, right?
Right. Do you know if there's been any, when you say the 7,000, does that take in the entire?
It's pretty much citywide. That's not the county. That's not Saraland.
There are some rooms there.
Correct. There are about 1,700 rooms there.
17?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And do you know if these are just rooms within their corporate limits, or you're not sure when you're comparing apples to apples?
This should be apples to apples.
So it would
Yes,
be their
ma'am.
corporate limits?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. The other thing is, and I bring this up, I think, for the last number of years, the Airbnb going after that level of taxation that they are paying to those agencies, but it's not being into our system. So does your group, your agency, want to see that happen? And
I think that Airbnb should be held accountable, just like our lodging partners. I know we're working on a resolution to be able to govern those kind of things.
right, great, because it would take council action, but
Yes,
I
ma'am.
know a lot of cities are mandating that they pay their freight because it's like a good-sized hotel.
That's right. That's right.
now.
I think there's about 310 of them in our
Right,
city.
It keeps growing.
Yes, ma'am.
Absolutely. Okay, and do you know of any economic incentives to get some more hotels? Do you work with the TIF program and things like that for downtown hotel projects?
Yeah, I think there's incentives out there. I think that if you look at our dynamics of our supply in our county, we had the highest supply of any of our comps increase year over year, 5.6% in the market, higher than Charleston, Savannah, and those kind of things. And you could see when you look at our STAR report that the absorption of that didn't handle that very well. We just barely had revenue increases. So we had an average of about 306 rooms on the average come in year over year of an increase per day.
Right.
So
What is the average occupancy rate?
63.88 last year
And that's
for the city.
a good standard?
No, really,
Is that for the other-
really the standard for a hotel, I mean, industry-wide, you need to be above 72, 73% to really performing well.
Right. So if you were to look at the ones that have the higher budget and the more room night, obviously, but,
It definitely makes a difference.
yeah. I mean, because when you look at New Orleans, that's number one on your list,
Mm-hmm.
but they have a total number of 41,000 rooms compared to our 7,000.
Supply makes a difference as long as you have the demand.
Of course.
Sure.
They also have a budget that supersedes yours by a lot,
Yes, ma'am.
100%. Well, 100%
Yes.
if you look.
A lot. Yeah.
And do we have a, can our treasury tell us exactly what sales tax comes in for the industry and how much then goes out to fund the agency? Because I would think it's a lot more than 2.6 million.
It is. As you may recall, as part of the TIF conversation and the TIF ordinance, the city now will share a percentage of the increases in lodgings tax directly with Visit Mobile. And what's interesting, David and I have talked about this, if you do the math with Savannah, Councilman, if we were to be able to raise our tourism levels to that of Savannah, the amount of funding to Visit Mobile would be almost identical to what Savannah is funded. So it's a good metric, it's a good measurement for us to look at when we attempt to get Visit Mobile to the correct level.
We don't have the rooms, though.
We don't, it's
They have
some of us chicken and the egg. The TID will be the boost, about $1.4 million, David?
Yes, sir.
That would come out next year, that would go directly into supporting the marketing effort.
for marketing.
Yes, and support services that the hotels who participate would manage the direction of that marketing. And so that would be the first boost. And then as we see hotel occupancy increase and lodgings tax increase, then we'll be able to have an increase in direct funding too.
The other thing is that if, when they built the convention center, they said that it was more than just the occupancy tax of hotels. It was restaurant, the extra penny that was supposed to go towards the note. Do you know if that fund, we do what, 5.6 million for the note on the building, correct?
There really is no note anymore. That original loan has been refinanced, I think, 5 times. Another part of your question, though, is there was an earmark of the hamburger tax, I think. That went away when the city converted from a gross receipts tax to a sales tax.
Well, if you can get your rooms up as far as the 7,000, that would help, you know, if that's a goal.
Can always help.
And also, you said it's 50, what is our percentage, 63%?
Almost 64%
So those
occupancy.
7,000 rooms could still turn into
Sure.
what
Sure.
Paul's talking about with better marketing, too.
And one of the bigger things we could do is maybe take another smaller hotel in downtown to increase our walkable convention room nights to be able to sell in that block at peak. That would be very helpful. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much for everything.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. President. Yeah, thank you, Mr. David, for coming down.
Yes, sir.
As I look on page 7, looking at your organization chart, one thing I would like to ask in the future to make sure that, you know, I see your vice presidents, you know, all listed, but make sure that it's diverse. You know, you mentioned that Councilman Richardson had went to New Orleans. Councilman Gregory was asked to go, and it was one reason why Councilman Richardson was to go. I was asked to go because you had different groups looking for different people, especially in leadership, you know, parts of organizations. With that being said, you know, and that's the reason, you know, we landed it, because they was able to see, you know, certain ethnics of people in certain positions and everything. Is just, as for the future, I ask, you know, just make sure that your upper level, like vice president, et cetera, is diverse.
Absolutely.
And even the organization I brought here in August, you know, the first thing, you know, for a fact, we had to redo a video. They said they didn't see enough people that diverse in the video, so we had to turn around and redo a video, try to invite people to come to Mobile. With that being said, you know, that convention was a great convention. We made money, more money at that convention versus we have been doing in Orlando, D.C., and et cetera. But it was less attendance because people were saying, what it is to do in Mobile, you know, what is it to in Mobile, what is to do. You know, I did all I can do to you know, express what's going on, but it was the less attendance convention that we had, but it was the most money making because it was so much affordable to come here in Mobile. And that's one thing that we need to do, is tell the story that we do have things here to offer, but we also are affordable, and they can get just, you know, great service, hospitality here than they can somewhere else and everything.
Yes. And to your point, Councilman, our last 2 hires have been African Americans, and really pleased to have Derek Williams on board as one of our national sales managers, and he continues to earn the right to lead. He's a big booker for us, and his just unlimited potential for him, and Tyler Crenshaw with our partnership managers. So we can always improve with everything that we do, and I'm just thankful to have the opportunity to do it.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
President,
Mr. Williams?
we're kind of dancing around a little bit. 63%, that's the mark that we're at.
Yes, sir.
And 70-something%.
It's where you want to be as a hotelier.
And all the other stuff, I mean, which of our efforts is going to make the difference, and why are we not there? I mean, are they going to Baldwin County?
Well, there's a couple things. The
Are they
market has
stopping at
grown on each
Saraland? You know?
side of us. Saraland's growing big time. If you look at Mobile County, which is inclusive of Saraland right there, they're growing. And also Baldwin County, the Eastern Shore is growing their segments. So in my opinion, we're sort of getting burned on the edges of the business transient sometime. But that's why you have to have some more money to get some resources and deliver OTA and really drive that message to BT through an OTA message. So that's part of it, but it's always a balanced approach. It's the leisure message, it's a drive time message on the weekend, 5 hours, and it's a convention message, and it's doing it all the time. Those are the things that we're going to have to do to continue to win. And really, a lot of it is resources and money to be able to do that. That's why the Tourism Improvement District is a really big deal.
Okay.
What exactly is OTA?
Online travel agents, OTA.
OTA, okay, great.
Expedia, Travelocity, so on and so forth. Orbitz.
Any other questions for Mr. Clark? Yes, ma'am.
I was saying Expedia.
Oh, I thought you were saying you wanted to speak. My fault. It's pretty close. Okay.
Mr. President, I would just like to thank Mr. Clark and your entire team for the work you're doing, laboring in the vineyards. You're doing a great job, and thank you for everything you do.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Joseph Seymour Jones.
Greetings to our council, body of operation, and we're proud to have this opportunity to address again. Excuse me. Joseph Seymour Jones, 1464 for the building, and 1500, which is the dirt address. I do apologize for being late, but I thought I would miss my turn, so I'm glad to be here and all together on time in that respect. I've come today to basically finalize what I think should be an approach that would represent a statement to the fact that no due process notice was given to the Jones family related to the park, and I do understand that parks and if city-owned property can be brought to the public, no matter who's affected, most eminently in terms of location. But we do have two other parks, and my purpose for coming today is to bring my notarized statement for the finalized elements of why I think a company called W Joint Ventures, a 1974 formation, might have benefited from description in my mother's property ownership with the Revenue Commission. Book 1776, as we talked about, had a recording that went on the same page, but this entity was basically brought to life 1974, but effectively so by book page 291, which appeared in my mother's reference. So the Revenue Commissioner supervisor the other day withdrew that minor detail, but the full 4 pages, which run from, as I have here in my record, page number 0298 or something like that. But 291 is included, so that was like an extract to show that my mother didn't pay off the contract, and those 2 documents from the original seller, May 15 or 17, were proper in that description. But the booking page of on 1771 brought a conflict, and I think that has left us wide open. Now, I wanted to take it up. I did. I hired an attorney in 08, had like $2,200 paid in. He wrote me a good contract. He's an ethical person. I'm going to employ him as my mother requested. And I'm at the point now that these minor elements, an instrument number 256, 252, you see what I mean? And that appears as a probate type of error, but it brought no benefits to us. So if I could give you the record with the property, you may have a little duplication on the contract sale document assignment we talked about. My mother, I just got that access on November 6th from the engineering division. So now I have the full completion. The seller, May 77, my mother came in and took on her debt, which she paid, but that only got recognized in 79 with her deed, and that little loophole left us improper. But I don't mind doing the research if you can just respect it. If I can enter that in your record, it's a copy. And anything else in your record may be made subject to other persons who are my family members, as you met one. And it's time for us to do other family business in a more private manner than bring my family to your public. But the Alabama Power Pole is there. Your attorney, as I understand, has resigned under what should be concerns to the public, because I think this project may have gotten started somewhere like in the case of that I had come to you. I came here July 24th of 18. I got wind of the project in June or so. September 4th, I came again in 18. May 21st of 19. July 30th of 19. November 5th of 19. November 4th of 19. November 19th of 19. November 26th of 19. And today, November 5th of 19. It's an add-on to the agenda matter, as I was explained on July 24th of 18. But the contracts are out, the bids are out. My family and I are informed, and we will be getting together to approach some form of resolution whereby we can recover our public name, if that's saying as such, and depends on who you get your information from. I'm still in the organization Lafayette Heights. They inherited an interest on February 3rd of 17. I would call into question whether any of those persons were employed, related to, as I've raised this issue in some of my documents, someone who was in my family, but she could not represent us. That's why I asked for a copy of the proclamation on behalf of one of my family members. You to grant that, and I'm most pleased to give it back to you as evidence in the matter. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. This item will be, it's on the agenda today, and I'm hoping that we'll vote on it next week. It will really be a great recreational amenity. It probably will increase the value of any of the holdings that you and your family have. Yes, sir.
So I can print the agenda for today.
It's on the, yes, sir.
First time, find some line item.
I'm sorry. We're gonna have to talk offline, Mr. Jones.
If I can just get a copy of the agenda, I'll pull that off of line.
Yes, sir.
That's number one. And then I'll locate the item number.
I really
And you're gonna
wasn't-
vote on the next week. You said take another action next week. This is the first I've been informed of any process
Yes,
of
sir.
it. Respect it? I certainly
And we
do.
respect you.
So I need to hang listen to the item and be debated. You're gonna do that later?
Well, it probably won't be much debate. It'll be on
I'll
your,
set in
we'll
and
vote
listen
next
and be
week.
quiet to do so.
All right. Yes, sir. Thank you.
John Hilliard regarding Resolution 35-1037.
John Hilliard, 3054 Belmont Street, Mobile, Alabama, 36606. Just want to thank y'all for being here today. I know y'all have a very important, something to vote on for the future of the Hank Aaron Stadium, so let's get my glasses. My journey to this day started December 10, 1959, I believe. My life, my education, my experiences, I think all come to this point in time. I believe it's my calling to become the steward of the diamond jewel of Mobile, Hank Aaron Stadium, and his childhood home and museum. We started with 12 advisors. This past week, we've added 8 more advisors to it. It's a more diverse group because we want everybody to have a say. If y'all vote yes today, my office will always be open to you. You can call me at any time. We just want what's best for the city of Mobile and for Hank Aaron's legacy. I will leave you with this. Y'all know Daryl Pendleton, a good friend of mine on our board. He texted me this today. It says, it's from Galatians 6:10. So then, let's work for the good of all whenever we have an opportunity, especially for those in the household of faith. So I leave the vote with you. If you should choose for me and my group to oversee Hank Aaron Stadium and his childhood home and museum into the next decade, into a new era, I would appreciate it. Thank you.
Turner Ward regarding Resolution 35-1037.
Hello, everyone. I'm Turner Ward, P.O. Box 193, Saraland, Alabama 36571. I'm here today because I'm in full support of what the Mobile Sports and Entertainment Group is doing. I'm actually speaking on behalf of John Lieber and Jake Peavy. I probably have a lot more interest in the latter two because I've coached at Bay Bear Stadium for 5 years, won 2 championships, and also was able to coach many players that went to the big league. 3 of those who was actually in the World Series this year, Rado Parra, Adam Eaton, and Patrick Corbin, all won a World Series this year, but also won a championship right here in Mobile. And I'm supporting this group because I know what this group's all about. They love the city, They're right here. They're homegrown. I've known them for a number of years. And of course, because of the Hank Aaron name that bears the stadium. I was a young boy in Atlanta watching my first major league and only major league game when Hank Aaron was playing. I'm in left field, and Hank Aaron is closing in on home run record. And I'm there in the left field stakes with my two brothers and my dad, and every time Hank Aaron took a swing, those lights of the stadium would flash. And I can remember when he hit that homer that day, the ball was coming out in left field, and I didn't catch the ball, but I caught a dream. And that's what I feel like I am as a coach, and what that stadium has done for so many people, players. I've actually been able to tell guys they're going to the big league stadium. So I know that the avenue that they're creating is an entertainment. So young kids are going to come through there, and the high school kids that's been able to play there for all of these few years, and my son being one of them. And I look forward to my youngest son being able to do the same thing. But I know this group is doing the right thing for the right reasons. And that's why me and John and Jake Peavy are in full support of what they're doing. So I just wanted to come and represent them from another place, because I'm pretty emotionally attached to it. It's important to me. So that's what I wanted to share with you. Thanks.
Thank you. Appreciate you coming down.
Reggie Hill regarding resolutions 28042, 02043, and 091117.
Mr. President, members of the council, in absence of our mayor, to the administration, citizens and stakeholders of Mobile, good morning. Reggie Hill, 1007 Center Street. I rise today, Mr. Chairman, to speak on 28042 with the Blue Ribbon Affordable Housing Neighborhood, 02043 relating to property, and the 09117 regarding the public safety incentive. Before I begin, I would like to commend the work of my good friend David Clark, and I hope to see continuation from this department in the growth and vitality of our city. Also, as we know, people who attend these meetings regularly know that I bring young people down with me. I normally don't recognize them unless they're coming down to speak, but this young man told me that Councilman John Williams was his baseball coach at Matthews Park, the Diamondbacks. So I felt that that'd be nice for him to know that he was here today. He resides in District 5 with Councilman Day. I'm going to work backwards here. I just have a quick question regarding 09117. I was given some information by Mr. Peavy, which I'm very grateful for when leaders of departments are willing to share their public records. And it spoke directly to typical, the EO3 incentives, the EO2, and the PSW. And it states where there's an 11.64 increase, a 9.14, and an 8.17 increase. That would have been the difference from the 5% raise. Now, this is something that I want to be able to dissect a little bit more. But the question that I was able to come up with, do we have a method of determining how many employees are on track to obtain the full safety bonus for each of these segments of designation for employment? And is there any way that we know the percentage of the current employees that will qualify once this is approved by the City Council?
The percentage, I'll get you the specific numbers after this. I can get you the actual numbers in terms of those that qualify. A rather high percentage of those that qualify, they got it. There's the full incentive. The breakout is per quarter, so that it's paid. It's calculated per quarter. So if you had an incident in that quarter, then you wouldn't qualify for that incentive. So it could go from anywhere from $250 to $1,000 maximum would be the amount.
Okay. And you will provide the specific numbers for each of those?
Yeah.
Employment. Thank you, sir. Moving on to the property piece. I did my go to the city website to find an attachment. some type of information that could be provided from the committee's reporting. And I would ask that there would be some information provided before you all make a decision on this. I just believe that if some of us didn't have relationships with certain members of the administration, we wouldn't have access to knowing the buildings that are available, potential growth, opportunities for our city to progress. And so unless that is accessible for our citizens, we can't just necessarily guarantee that we're going to go through the right process and that the building's usage will be accommodating to that community. All those who might have something that could be done with it will have an opportunity to present that case to this body. So I ask that if possible, that could something that would be held over, or at least you would take time to get something out to the public before you present that. And finally, this last piece regarding the blue ribbon. Mr. Pierce, who's now over the Housing Board, said there's a waiting list of about 5,500 people who are in need of housing. And I also had a conversation this morning with Ms. Teresa Bettis, who is over the Center for Fair Housing here locally, and she provided some very vital information regarding this segment. And she's hoping that someone can address when the meeting on the 19th will be as well. And I'm just going to give you some of the information that was provided. We know now, just with R.B. Taylor and Thomas James and the Boykin Tower alone, there are about 622 units that are being closed and demolished that would be occupied. So we're not having an accurate number of the number of people that are in these units, but there are at least 622. And I think that this is something that we've had resources for quite some time that we might need to be looking into. We can imagine if we add in the Roger Williams and Happy Hills area, that over the past 10 years, we have about 4,000 units that have been closed down. And these people have no place to go. So I'm hoping that the committee will be looking to address these concerns. We understand that a lot of the new housing is being built in the county area. What has been the common communication from the public is that they would prefer to remain in their own communities. I'm hoping that we can find ways in which we could address that, and not just to appease the idea of wanting to remain in your own community. Most of the people who are actually being forced out to these areas do not have readable transportation, and we all know that there's not a bus route that's in that area. And so this is something that we need to be very considerate of as we begin shifting people outside of their areas, and knowing that if we really want to see an improvement to the quality of life in the city, it's very imperative that we look at those who are less fortunate. I have the great privilege of having conversations with these people all the time. And I believe that Mr. Roberts and Ms. Reed are doing some standout work in that department with housing and planning. I'm hoping that the procedure will include a lot of the information that they already have, but also I would like to see some way that we can investigate resources that have already been applied for, have already been received to go directly into these areas, Mr. President, that may have been reallocated or reshifted somewhere else, or maybe have been misused. And I'd like to see how long we've been planning in these areas. And there's something else federally that I understood, that if we do demolish certain areas, there has to already be a plan and resources in place to rebuild that, particularly for those areas that are low income. And so I'd just like to see that research made readily available to people. Thank you for your time.
Thank you again, Mr. Hill.
Ordinance is over. 28042. Ordinance to establish a Blue Ribbon Affordable Housing and Neighborhood Revitalization Commission of the City of Mobile.
Move to hold over 3 weeks.
Second.
Probably moved in second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Consent resolutions held over 471060. Recommend approval to the ABC Board for issuing of a retail beer table wine off premises only license for Spring Hill Food Mart on Spring Hill Avenue.
Move to hold over 1 week.
Second.
Probably moved in second. Any discussion? Not all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
401090. Declare the structure at 604 Peach Street a public nuisance and order it demolished.
Move to table.
Second.
Probably moved in second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
CIP resolutions held over 211096. Authorized contract with McElhaney Construction Company for 2018 CIP Trinity Gardens area street and drainage improvements.
So moved.
Second.
Properly moved and second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Resolutions held over. 351037, authorize assignment, assumption, and amendment of lease with Ball Corp. LLC.
So moved.
Second.
Properly moved and second. Any discussion? Absent any discussion, all in favor? Aye. Opposed?
091097, transfer monies from the Stormwater Fund to capital project for purchase of a dump truck, mini excavator, and other additional stormwater management activities.
So moved.
Second?
Properly moved and second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Ordinance is being introduced for the first time, 02043.
Motion to suspend the rule for immediate consideration of ordinance 02-043.
Second.
Properly moved and second. Any discussion?
Yes.
Ms. Rich?
Thank you. I'm glad to see this on the agenda and not held up. I understand that we'll have to get out this information to the public. We've had a lot of committee meetings about it, and I understand there will be an amendment, a small amendment to the language, which I approve of, but no council should ever be put in a position of what happened with the sale of 650 St. Anthony Street, which really precipitated the need to have a concrete ordinance in place on how to dispose of property. Those errors hopefully will be prevented with the approval of this amendment through the city council and how we dispose of property. Again, that was something that no council should ever be put in a position to see happen. There was $245K was made within weeks of the transaction. It's my understanding that some rent wasn't paid initially. That was supposed to be part of that. I don't even know all those particulars. But again, that was not a good optic for this city council to have to be responsible for, because ultimately it is for the council to decide if something is no longer needed. We found out it was needed, although arrangements, as I understand, are being made that the city will not be needing to lease the space. But again, that was the reason why this council and future council should never have to be put in a position to see that embarrassment take place where a private entity makes all kinds of money from a public building. Again, there's a way to do it, and hopefully this is a more than a good start for this council and future councils, and that's why I'll support it. Thank you.
Mr. President,
Mr. Richardson?
I'd like to offer an amendment.
We haven't voted to take it up yet.
Right.
Oh, okay.
We're still at discussion.
We need to vote to take it up.
Pardon me.
We have a motion.
We have a motion, we have a second. Any discussion?
Oh, let's just take it up.
All in favor?
This is for suspending the rules.
Yeah, the amendment goes
Just
first.
suspend the rules.
Suspending the rules?
Right.
Okay, sorry, I wasn't just.
I thought we already did suspend the rules.
No, he just made a, if you would, we're voting to suspend the rules.
Right.
There was a motion and a second, and I asked for discussion. Ms. was giving us discussion,
Right.
which is what we were, where we're at.
So now we need to,
I want to finish because I have some discussion. Since it,
suspension.
well, but it's pertinent, as Rich just said.
No reason to do it.
The city sold the property because I think it's important that we consider things in its context. If not, there will be a picture painted that isn't quite the way it ought to be painted. The city sold the property to an entity. After they purchased the property, someone out of the absolute clear blue came interested in procuring the property and offered them an outrageous amount in order to do so, because they had a certain business venture they wanted at that location. So there was no nefarious activity on the part of the city to enrich one group over another. If it had been anybody who had purchased that resource, and those persons came to them and offered them that same opportunity, I don't believe there'd be a soul in here who would not have jumped on it, including the city had the subsequent buyers come to the city first. And so, you know, that kind of narrative has been out against that group for a while now. And I just want to publicly state that while it's factual on one hand, the circumstances and the way it's been portrayed is not as accurate as it could have been portrayed.
I'd like to address that.
Mr. Chairman, this is on suspending the rules.
Right.
I understand where we are, Mr. Williams.
We can't discuss anything until we have suspended the rules.
I understand. Ms. Rich discussed.
I know.
So since she discussed, I discussed.
So one out of order deserves.
Well, then this
It wasn't out of order, because I'm urging you to support the
All in
suspension.
favor of any further discussion? Since Ms. Rich has discussed and I've discussed, any further discussion?
Yes. But I'll bring it up when we vote
There
on
we
the
go.
ordinance.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right.
02043, ordinance regulating the disposition of certain surplus city property.
So moved.
Second.
Properly moved and second. Again, is there any discussion?
Yes.
Ms. Rich?
Thank you. As I said earlier, I'm glad we're moving this forward because this gives a pathway in how the city disposes, how the property is advertised, the length of time, who gets knowledge of it. All of that was basically not known in the past, which is why this council went to committee over disposing of property. In December of last year, the council voted to sell the property to the group, the private sector, and said we no longer needed that 650 St. Anthony. It was not closed until May of that year with the city for actually purchasing. And then in July, the property was resold for a tremendous profit center to that private industry. I'm not saying that they didn't do anything. They didn't do anything illegal. What happened was there were a lot of unknowns to this council in that we needed that property, number one, to store our floats in. Although that's been handled, I understand that's no longer an issue with the new owner. But again, there was a lot of errors, and even the administration admitted it could have been done better. And this council, by creating this ordinance, helps to make things better, not just for this council, but for future councils. And that's what our legacy is all about when we talk about ordinances that are then passed by this council. It's to handle so that the public is completely aware of what transpires. And that was not the case in the last, one of the more egregious errors took place. Thank you.
Mr. President,
Mr. Richardson?
I would like to amend the motion.
Yeah.
Under section 6, I would like to add a subsection C. And subsection C will read, the council may require an appraiser in any transaction.
Second.
Probably moved in second. Any discussion? Absent any discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Now we'll go back to the original motion as amended. Is there all in any discussion on that?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chair.
Ms. Gregory and then Ms. Gregory and then Mr. Day.
I just want to thank Councilman Daves for all of the work that he did on this. This has been months in the making, several committee meetings. We thought we had things agreed to and changes came up, so just thanks really to him and to everybody for their patience. Ms. Cochran and also Annis and Flo Kessler were all very much involved in getting this to the finish point or the finish line. So I think it is a very well thought out ordinance, something that we need. We certainly have seen incidences that brought this home. So just thank everybody for putting this together, and I think this is a terrific step forward.
I absolutely agree with you. Mr. Davis.
Thank you, Mr. President. Ms. Gregory, said really half of what I was going to say. Thank you very much. I think that this, as Ms. Gregory said, this has been a long process to come up with an ordinance I think we all felt we needed. And I appreciate the work of all the members of the committee and the council and the administration, our council, working together on this. My opinion is that the difficulty we had coming up with something that we could all agree to, or at least 5 of us could agree to on the end, points out that this is probably something that's going to have to be looked at from time to time. My concern, my desire was to go ahead and get something on the books that may be permanent or may be a starting point. I think we're going to have to go through. The city has a lot of surplus property that it does not need, and we can hardly take care of what we do have and do need. So we need to have a method of disposing of this surplus property. We've at the same time, the disposal of the property must be done in a careful, orderly, transparent process that makes sure that the people who live around this property have a voice happens to it. I think this ordinance is a good first step. As I said, we may have to come back to it, or some future council may have to come back to it in order to tweak it some. But I'm hopeful we can go ahead today and get this enacted so we can begin down this road. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Davis.
Mr. President.
Mr. Richardson.
The people over in the Sheltergate community woke up one morning with about 17 for sale signs in their community on property that they had been promised would not be sold. And then they contacted me in rage so I had to do a lot to get people in that community to sell down, because I had absolutely no knowledge that the city was in the process of selling any one lot. When we passed this law, you can't sell any city property without it coming to the council. You can't put no for sale sign up there without it coming to the council. And then they tried to say this property doesn't quite. Any property, however the city got it, if they got it from the federal government, if they got it from the state, if they got it from the county, if they give it to us, it's ours. The county has authority, the council has authority over it. I don't care how they got it. We call it CBG, FAPT. If it's given to the city, it's us. And if you're gonna sell it, we need to know. You need permission from this council. And this is what we are establishing today. And we also want to make sure that once it's disposed, the city will get a fair market value for whatever we dispose. This is monumental. We have not had it before. This is monumental.
I want to thank Joe Davis, who was chair, Gina Gregory, and Fred Richardson for all of their efforts on this particular item. Certainly appreciative to our attorney, Wanda Cochran, to Carrie Cumanis, who's been assisting, Flo Kessler, to Ricardo Woods, any and every city employee. You played a role in helping to craft this legislation is certainly appreciated. We needed an orderly process for all of the property sales in the city of Mobile, and I'm hopeful that this will provide us that process, and as we need to make amendments, we'll have the ability to do so. So this is some good work, and I'm appreciative of all your time, Joel, and to Gina and Fred. Thank you all for all you've done in this regard. Any further discussion? If not all in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Consent resolutions being introduced for the first time, 03-1098 through 60-1113.
Yeah, motion to suspend the rules for consideration for consent resolutions 03-1098 through 60-1113.
Second.
Probably moved in second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
There are no objections. I'll take all of these at once.
Yes, ma'am.
03-1098, reappoint Craig Roberts to the Architectural Review Board. 03-99, appoint Carmel Alvis to the Advisory Commission on the Disabled. 03-1100, reappoint Jack Singleton to the History Museum of Mobile Board. 03-1115, reappoint Diane Frank to the Mobile Museum of Art Board. 37-1101, recommend approval to the ABC Board for issuance of a manufacturer license for Braided River Brewing Company on St. Louis Street. 37-1102, recommend approval to the ABC Board for issuance of a club liquor Class II license for Troubadours Country Saloon on Road. 37-1103, recommend approval to the ABC Board for issuance of a lounge retail liquor Class I license for M&P Lounge on Bayshore Avenue. 37-1104, recommend approval to the ABC Board for issuance of a retail beer table wine license for Speed 2 on House Ferry Road. 40-1105, 06, 07, 08, 09, and 10 are declaring the structures at 408 St. Charles Street, 458 Plum Street, 702 Plum Street, 652 Pillen Street, 1162 Newman Lane, 405 Calhoun Street public nuisances and ordering them demolished. 60, 1111, 1112, and 1113 are determining contributions to Providence Hospital Foundation, New Lions Park Tennis Association, and Blessings Angels Gifting Tree serves a public purpose and approved payment.
So moved.
Second.
Probably moved in second. Any discussion?
Yes, thank you.
Ms. Rich?
Thank you very much. I would like to just point out and thank the individuals from District 6 who were named, coming either on newly to a board or taking a reassignment. But at this time, I really would like to publicly thank Barbara Hattier, who sat on the Advisory Commission for the Disabled for a number of years, and she has moved off, and there'll be a new appointment. Carmel Alvis will take her position, but this was something completely volunteer. They meet quite regularly. They're very engaged in the community, and I thank her for her service to the district by having that and taking it for the number of years that Barbara Hattier did that. So I just want to be able to acknowledge her service to our community. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Any further discussion?
Administratively, Bay Shores District 1.
Yes, sir.
Right.
Just administrative.
All right. If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Items passed.
CIP resolutions being introduced for the first time, 21-1114 through 21-1115.
And these resolutions will be laid over for 1 week.
Resolutions being introduced for the first time, 21-1116 through 09-1117.
Motion to suspend rules for immediate consideration for resolution 09-1117 and 21-1116 will be laid over 1 week.
Second.
Probably moved in second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor? Aye.
09-1117, authorized fiscal year 19 Public Works Safety Incentive Payout.
Moved.
Second.
Probably moved in second. Any discussion?
Yes, sir. I would just like to make sure that on the revised agenda, we're not all listed as sponsors, and I just want to make sure that what we passed, we will
Oh,
also
it
list
is.
as sponsors.
Yeah,
Okay.
we've changed it.
Okay.
Wonderful. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Call for public hearings, 41-1118, call for public hearing to rezone property at 4213 House Mill Road and 4180 Alden Drive, east side of Halls Mill Road, 165 feet north of Alden Drive, extending to the north side, 276 feet east of McCurry Lane, from B3 and I-1 to I-1, scheduled January 7, 2020.
Second.
We probably moved in second. Discussion. Mr. Williams?
I'd just like to ask the administration to, I'd sent out an email and asking for just a little area. I would like to just, if I can, talk to the administration at a high level about rezoning, and in this case, especially around residential. So if we can, before the year's up, I'd appreciate it. Thank you.
Any further discussion? If not, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Public hearing is called.
Announcements.
Mr. Williams?
I'm going to take a little extra time today, Mr. President. Actually, I usually wait to give out gifts, but I just couldn't take it. So, y'all can bear with me. You can bear with me.
If you got gifts, we've got time.
For those of you who don't know.
I was a twin. I used to tell my twin, don't open your present until I get mine and we're ready at the same time. So if y'all could refrain from reading and figuring out what's going on, then we'll all kind of look at one time. Let's see if I got this, going right here. I'm working on it. And, hold on. Yeah. What I'd like to ask as part of my announcement, if everybody would just remove one of the items from their multi-use container. While that is happening, I'd just like to say that, you know, we work pretty hard in the off hours for everybody else. We have some fairly heated discussions in the 9 o'clock hour. And sometimes we look a little disjointed or maybe not cooperative in the 10:30 hour. But the fact is that we all appreciate what others do. And I know that while you're out in your districts, there's sometimes when you just say, I wish I could give that person something. I wish I had a certificate. And to properly recognize the people that are working very hard to make us look good in our districts. So if you would, by district, starting with 1, read what your item says. They're all, as everybody knows and knows me, I wear wristbands all the time. And they're special to me. What's it say, Fred?
Mine says, Honorable Fred Richardson, you reign, I spring.
Amen. Amen. District 2.
All right. Mine says, Honorable LaVon Manzi, working for you in District 2. And I got 3 or 4 District 2 citizens I'm going to get it to before you leave. Mr. Jones and Mr. Hill.
If you look at the color, some of them have a specific color.
Yeah.
That means something.
Okay, I appreciate you, John. Thank you.
Mr. Mans, don't forget you got 2 sisters to get those too.
I do. It's 3 of them.
Yeah, definitely.
Thank you, John.
Absolutely.
All right, let's keep reading.
Yeah, Honorable C.J. Small, District 3, where things are happening. Thank you, Mr. Williams.
All right.
4 is me.
Mine says, Honorable Joel Daves, you're the heart of our city. That's what District 5 is, the heart of the city.
Amen.
All right, I'm next. And thank John for your
This is
thoughtful
so
gift. It says, Bess Rich, you are the best out west.
And mine is Gina Gregory. Let's see. A Bit of Heaven in District 7.
All right.
Thank you, Mr. Williams. Thank you very much. For those of you who don't, Mr. Williams always gives the best Christmas presents.
No, absolutely. He's
He
the best
certainly
Christmas giver out there. Every year he gives something. You know, you just don't know how to take John. You don't know how to take him. And you have a twin?
I do.
Wow. 2 of them.
Well, not
This is so nice. This is so nice. Mr. Hill, I want you to have the first one. Mr. Reggie Hill. Ms. Gregory.
Oh, that's funny, okay. Last night, I had my annual Christmas and holiday meeting, and it was a huge success. We had a tremendous turnout. Probably a lot of that was thanks to the two elementary school choirs, Mary B. Austin and John Will Elementary, along with the Clark Shaw High School Jazz Band, and their parents were there, so that drew in a lot more folks than maybe normally. But we had terrific food, and topped off by some unique desserts with the Frios Gourmet Pops, and that was a huge hit as well. So just want to thank everyone who came last night. We had Chief Mark Seeley, Chief Lawrence Batiste, and Assistant Chief Clay Godwin, Jim DeLapp, Executive Director of Public Works, Public Services, John Peavy was there, over Public Works, Shonda Smith, Parks and Rec, Judge Holmes Whidden, and Judge Shelbani Hall, Commissioner Connie Hudson, and I'm sure I have left out a few, but we had a number of people there representing the different departments who came to be a part of the celebration, and I'm just so thankful that they came. Mayor Stimson came in a little late, but got there just in the nick of time to make remarks and to take some pictures. He was a good sport. He put some reindeer headwear on and took some pictures. So again, it was just a terrific night for everyone, and I want to thank everyone who came last night for the annual get-together. Just a couple of other announcements. The mayor has already mentioned that McGregor officially opens tomorrow, so I'll look forward to being a part of that. And last night also, John Peavy in Public Works showed us some yard signs that are available now for the different neighborhood groups to announce to your neighborhood when trash pickup will be. I know mine is every other Friday, but I can't remember which Friday is which on that day. So they also have signs that will announce if there's going to be a holdup, like for Christmas holidays or something like that. So if you are in a neighborhood group, community action group, just call down to the Public Works office. Margaret McNabb is the person, and they will get you set up with some of these yard signs. And one last announcement. We've made this a couple of weeks in a row. The council is searching for a new council attorney. We are asking for resumes. If you are an attorney, individual or in a firm, and you're interested, please send on your resume and cover letter to Lisa Lambert, our clerk, and she will handle all the resumes and get them back to us. And we will start scheduling interviews as soon as possible. Of course, with Christmas holidays upon us, that is providing some challenges for us to do this, so stay tuned. We know we have some flexibility, and we may have to push our dates back a little bit, but for now, we are asking for resumes to get into Ms. Lambert's office by Friday, and if we do have to change our dates or provide some more flexibility, we will certainly post that on our Facebook page, alert the media. So thank you so much. And again, Mr. Williams, this is trick, and mine is pink. I think you all know why. So I really appreciate that. Thanks, John.
Vice Chairman Small.
Thank you, President Manzi. Reminding all the citizens that on this evening, we will have our annual District 3 holiday celebration. It would take place at 6 o'clock at the Pillins Middle School, which is located at 2051 Old Military Road, which is off of DIP. We're going to have plenty of fun, food, and entertainment will be provided by many elementary schools and also middle school within the district lines. Again, this will take place this evening at 6 o'clock p.m., inviting all the citizens throughout the 3 and also community action groups. We are also the non-perishable items to be donated to seniors throughout our district and the nursing home and throughout the city of Mobile. It's not mandatory that you bring it, but it would be nice that if you decide to bring it, again, this will be for seniors that do not have people and families during the Christmas holidays, that we do call around to different nursing homes and through the district and the city and get recommendation of people that have family, and we turn around and we do express love with them during the Christmas holiday season. Again, our celebration will be this evening at 6 o'clock p.m. at Pillins Middle School, inviting all the citizens and community action group throughout District 3. And also this coming Saturday, we will have our annual DIP Parades of Threes coming down DIP. starting at BC Rain High School at 2 o'clock p.m. and will end at Pillars Middle School. Again, this has been a big parade ever since we started. I'm going in conjunction with Representative Adeline Clark and also Representative Barbara Drummond. And we plan on having a great, good time. Checked out the weather. It's going to seem like it's going to be perfect weather on this coming Saturday. Again, that parade will take place at 2 o'clock p.m. starting at BC Rain High School and it will end at Pillars Middle School, inviting the whole city, surrounding areas to come out this coming Saturday at 2 o'clock p.m. And again, Mr. Williams, I do appreciate you with my Christmas gift. And as you see with the announcements that I read today, those things are happening in District 3. Thank you.
Mr. Davis? Mr. Richardson?
Thank you, Mr. President. I want John to know that I would be probably the only one wearing two bands. I have two watches on, so it would be fitting to have two bands on. You rang, I sprang. Thanks, John. Off the chain. I will be joining the mayor tomorrow for the official opening of Florida Street between O'Shea and Dauphin Street at 9:30 tomorrow. So we're looking forward to having a great occasion over there with the business people, and they're glad that what we're really signaling is that the construction period is over and the street has complete the restored. That's what we are celebrating, a restoration, complete restoration of that street. On our agenda today was agenda item 211096, where we will be closing the ditches along Warsaw Street. There are open parallel ditches on most of the streets in Trinity Gardens. And our goal now is to close all of the ditches, but we are closing them one at a time. The contractor is on Esau Street now. And the same contractor won this contract for Warsaw, which is the next street over. So what we expect is as soon as he finishes Esau Street, he's going to move his construction company over on Warsaw Street, and he's going to finish that one, and we're going to move on. Next year, we're going to keep it going. So I just want the people in training, and it's costing $165,147 to close one street. And if it's a street, if it's just a long street, it could easily cost over $1 million to close one street. My point is it is an expensive ordeal, but no one should have to live along a street with open ditches where water remains in the ditch almost year-round. No citizen should have to live in that condition where you just can't ride a bike because by being a ditch, it's nowhere from you can't have a sidewalk, and when a car comes, there's nowhere to go unless you're in the ditch. So they pretty much have to go somewhere on the street where it's sidewalks in order to ride the bicycle. So we're doing something about it. It's a slow process, but we get there. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Richardson. Ms. Rich?
Thank you very much. The mayor talked about the christening of the USS Mobile at the Austell facility, and I was very honored to represent the residents of District 6 by invitation to attend that. It truly is a fabulous program to witness, and I understand that you can also see that as a YouTube. The commissioning will take place very much in the general public, as the mayor said, along the banks of the river and whatnot. So I'm hoping when we have that date, which is about 18 months out, the general public will come down to support that, our namesake vessel, so to speak. And again, thank you to Austell and all of their employees for pulling that together. On December 18th, next week, on Wednesday, there will be a holiday Christmas, Hanukkah, New Year's celebration breakfast out at the Senior Center on Hillcrest at 8:30 a.m. My office helps to support that financially, but I want to thank all of the staff out there that really does all of the work to pull that together, and I'm looking forward to that wonderful event. Again, that's December 18th, and it's open for people to attend at 8:30. On January 16th at 6:30, there'll be a District 6 community meeting. The topic is public safety. So far, I've gotten confirmation from Chief Batiste, who will be there, and I will be doing calls again, not the postcard. The postcard is kind of costly, so I will make phone calls to remind people and get this in the bulletin, and also get some information out to the different media. Again, that's January 16th, which is a Thursday evening at 6:30 at the Connie Hudson Senior Center. And I hope that it will be well attended. The topic is very timely. Thank you.
Mr. President, before you close out, I would just like to thank, I didn't do it while she was here, I would like to thank Ms. Keisha Davis for coming down to represent Events Mobile regarding the moon pie drop on New Year's Eve. Carol Hunt, who normally would come and make a presentation, is out of town. She had an engagement out of town, and she asked Keisha would she come today in her stead. So she was pinch hitting for Carol Hunter. So I just like to give kudos to Keisha, who came and gave a outstanding report on what we can expect on New Year's Eve. I understand that the hotels are filling up. I can talk to my sister last night. She has one couple come from Arizona. She got a couple coming from Arizona. She has another couple coming from somewhere else, with she and her husband here. So we expect it to be a great night. And we have had wind, we have had rain, we have had it all. I just hope we're going to have a good moonlit night. I don't care about the cold. It's just long. We don't have no rain, fog, just a great moonlit night. It's going to be off the chain. Thank you, Mr. President.
That's great. This is a time of the year. A lot of holiday festivities, including my Christmas leadership social, which will be on Thursday at the Via Center on Dolphin Street at 6 p.m. And any and all citizens who consider themselves to be leaders are certainly welcome. And we have space for so many, and we have food for so many. And when we run out of either one, we just fellowship and have a good time and enjoy the festivities. So you're certainly welcome out Thursday at 6 p.m. at the Via Center on Dolphin Street. We want to remind our citizens to shop local, if you don't mind. I know Amazon is convenient. Pull up the app, order what you want. Price is competitive, but we want to make certain that we support our local merchants, particularly the ones down our independent small business entrepreneurs. Let's do what we can to continue to support them and ultimately support ourselves so that those tax resources stay in our community. I just want to thank my colleague again, John Charles Williams. He's kind of, in some respects, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. And some, he'll get on you in 1 minute, and then he does something nice for you the very next. So you don't really know how to take him sometimes. But he gives the most thoughtful Christmas gifts. He gave a couple of years ago a portrait of me and my dad that I value now probably more than anything. And that comes from John, because that was a portrait of him holding the Bible during my swearing in. And he's always done that. And when I win again in 2021, he won't be here to do it. And so for John to have memorialized that means a lot. And this means a lot. And so I don't mean to get emotional. I probably shouldn't have said that. But I'm appreciative of the thoughts that he puts into his gifts. I wish I had that talent. I'm the worst gift buyer. If it were me, I'd just go get gift cards, tell you to buy what you want. But I'm appreciative of his thoughtfulness. It means a lot. And I want to wish all of you a very Merry Christmas. Speaking of that, won't we be having our meeting? Madam City Clerk, did you want to announce that? Next week. Next week's meeting? Yes, ma'am. If you don't.
Next week's city council meeting will be held at the History Museum of Mobile on Royal Street at its usual time, 10:30, and the pre-meeting will be here at Government Plaza at 9 o'clock.
Wonderful. There'll be no meeting on Christmas Eve. We will be working hard on New Year's Eve. And on next week's meeting, we will have entertainment. We will have entertainment. The Murphy choir from the Murphy High School will be here. Councilman Richardson, is Ms. Edwards, Ms. Lynn Cummings, the soprano you invited, is she coming? Or you still having the bishop?
I haven't gotten her.
I thought we had Murphy.
Okay, Murphy, and what about the bishop? Okay, never mind. Is there a motion to adjourn? All in favor? Opposed? Meeting is adjourned.